there are different types of events like keyboard event, mouse event. Okay, so when an event occurs, there will be an event object will be created, and that event object, okay, will be associated with a event handler. Okay, similar to your object oriented concept. So typically we see an event is passed to the function handler as a parameter named e. Okay, you can see here this is an event object. Okay. So here, based on event object, we will be having different methods and properties associated with this event object. So there are properties. Okay. First one is bubbles, cancelable and preventable. So let us discuss the first one. So bubbles. So what is bubble? So bubble is nothing but it's an event returns a bubble value indicating whether or not an event is a bubbling event. Okay. So there are different types of events like mouse over, mouse out, click, keyboard up, keyboard down. So there are different events which will tell. So this property will tell whether that particular event, okay, whether it is a bubbling event or not. Okay. Now see here. So now in this example, we have form. Okay, initially we have form, and then we have uh, div within form, and inside the div we have a paragraph. Okay. Now we are having a click event here. That's a mouse click event, okay, which is handled with an attribute on click. So when you click on the form, we are calling up alert with the message form. And similarly with the div, we will be displaying an alert box with the message div. And for paragraph, we will be displaying a message with the P. Okay. Now, bubbling is good. Okay. The event whichever occurs will be bubbling. Okay. For example, parent. Then parent form we have first child div and the next child second child is paragraph. Okay. Now whenever an event occurs, okay, it will start bubbling. Okay, the bubble like your water bubble. Okay, it will start moving from the child to the next parent, and similarly from the next parent to the uppermost parent. Okay, so the event will start bubbling from, and it will start moving from up. Okay, not down, from the child it will start moving to the topmost parent. Now let us look into the example. You can see here, I will click on this paragraph. Okay, I click on this paragraph. You can see first what it will display. It will display the message alert box with the message P. Okay. Next, the same event. Okay, I'm not clicking once again. Okay, I'll just click on OK. You can see now again the click event bubble we have. Okay, next when I click again, the event will bubble and it will go to the parent and it will display the message form. Okay, so here the event is bubbling. Okay, it is moving from child to the topmost parent. Okay, similarly, you see, I click on this div. Okay, I click on this div. You can see the first message it will display div. Okay, next that it will move the event to the next parent, that is form. I click on this OK. Here it will display the message form. Now similarly when I click on this form, okay, it will display the message form. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so it is not moving down. The bubble means it is moving to the topmost parent. It will cover all the ancestors. Okay, so here click is a bubbling event. Okay, here click Okay, the event returns a boolean value that indicates whether or not event is a bubbling event. Okay. The process is called as bubbling because event bubble from the inner up element, okay, through parents, okay, through parents. So that means from paragraph, then it bubbles to div, and then it moves to the form, okay, like a bubble in the author. There is one more property that is cancelable. So cancelable is nothing but here it, it is also a property which returns a boolean value, okay, indicating whether or not an event can be cancelled. Okay. For example, I click on a mouse click event, whether I can cancel that mouse click event. Okay. Whether, for example, if it is a keyboard event, whether I can cancel that keyboard event. Okay. If I'm able to cancel that event, it will return the boolean value. Yes, you can cancel, true. Or if not able to cancel, it will return you the boolean value false. Okay. Next one is prevent default property. Okay, so cancel default property action, okay, for an event can be stopped. Okay, for example, you want to stop this. It is associated with the previous one. You want to stop the cancelling of a particular event, okay, which can be done by using this method prevent default. So prevent default, you can see. So there is a function on click of a button, you are calling a function, okay, submit button, and you are passing the event object, okay, and you are calling, okay, the property cancelable. So you are checking, okay, for example, assume that on click, okay, it's a click event, it's a mouse click event. Okay. So whether this click event can be cancelled. So we are calling this function. Now, when you call this function, there will be a event, that is our click event object will be created, and for that you are running this property. Okay, you are checking whether this click event can be cancelled. Okay, so it will return two values, either true or false. Okay, let us assume that it will return, the browser will return the value true, okay, after executing this. Okay, and then you are going for the next line, e dot prevent default. Prevent default is what it will do? It will prevent, it will stop cancelling of this event. Okay, so it will stop cancelling of the event and you can perform further action. Here. So here we have heading H1, in the body we have this div heading, and on click we are calling this function 2, okay, that is for the div, first div, okay, and in there we have one more div. So this is our parent div, and inside that we have a child div, and child div is calling this function 1 event. Okay, now we have this, okay, a cancel bubble. Okay, this is a checkbox. You can see here this is a checkbox. Okay. Type is equal to checkbox and ID is checked. And we have paragraph. Okay, these are the paragraphs. Okay. And these are the functions. Okay, this is the first function, function 1, okay, which is connected to the div1. Okay, div1 for for this div, first div we have function 2, and for next one you have function 1. So this is function 1 and function 2. Now see here, I will click on, okay, I will click on this function one, that is inner div, this is this inner div1. Okay, what is there in this function? There will be an alert, okay, which will display a message div1. Okay, then document dot get element by ID. What is the one which is having, which is the one which is having the ID checked? That is this checkbox. Okay, dot checked. Okay, so you are checking whether it is checked. Okay, now if it is checked, okay, then event dot cancel bubble is equal to true. So that is, we are not bubbling this event. Okay, we are not making the bubble. Okay, we are not calling the next click event. Okay. Let us first understand without this cancel. I'll comment these three lines. Okay. So now we have two functions. This is associated with d1 and this is with the d1. This is similar to the previous one. Okay, similar to the previous program. Okay, you call d1, it will display the message d1, and without any cancel property. Now what I do is, now let us run the program. Now you click on this. Okay. Again it will give the due one. Now you click on this. Okay, that is a condition, correct? If document dot get element by ID, if this is checked, then only you have to cancel the event. Now this is checked. Okay, click on this. Okay. It will not display the next message. It will not bubble that. Okay, you just click on this. It will just display due one. Okay, it will not show you due two. Okay, now just unbubble this. Okay, uncheck this. Okay, so what happens when you uncheck? First, it will display the message alert due one. Okay, it will check document dot get element by ID is equal to check. Now, what is this? Just click on this due one. Okay, it will display the message due to. Okay, now you just check this. Okay, click on this. Okay, now what will happen? It will cancel the bubble. Okay, it will not bubble and it will show the due one. I hope you have understood. Any doubt in this program? The next one is, so this one simple example you can give. Okay, if they ask you about event object property and method, you can give this example. It's a very simple example and which explains, neatly explains the property cancel bubble. Okay, so you need not write this paragraphs and all. So you can simply write two functions and I can add a checkbox. Okay. So practice this. It is available in W3 school. Okay. If at all you have any doubt, please come back. You can ask me if you have any doubt. So here, so this is all about the event object method and property. Okay. Next, moving on to the next one, event types. What are the different types of events we have? So we have several types of events within each class specified in W3C. Okay, there we have different types of classes associated with events. Okay, so here we'll be highlighting only three events: mouse event, keyboard event, form event, and frame events. Okay, we'll be concentrating only on these events. So this is a mouse event. Okay, so we have only studied about this first event on click. Other than this, we have these many. Okay, we have also come across this on mouse down, on mouse up, on mouse over. When you move the mouse out, okay, when you move the mouse, okay, when you double click. Okay, so these are all events associated with the mouse. Okay, you have to give as it is. Okay, on click, on DB click, DB is double click. When you move the mouse down, Okay. Move the mouse up. When you move mouse over, that is the mouse was moved over an element. Okay, like this, you are moving the mouse. When you take the mouse out of the specified area. Okay. So these are all mouse events. Okay. So let's. So you can give example, simple example. Okay, you can give an example of your lab program. Okay. The previous I have showed you in the previous session about this mouse over and mouse out. You can give even that example. Okay. If they ask in the exam, explain mouse events with the example. Okay. So next one is keyboard event. So in keyboard we have three types of events. On key down, that means you are pressing a key. Okay, user is pressing a key. Okay, any of the key in the keyboard. At that time, this event occurs, that is on key down. Next one is on key press. Okay, the user presses a key. This happens after on key down. Okay, so on key up, the user will release a key, okay, that he has pressed. Okay, so at that time this event occurs, that is on key up. So we have an example. So let's see an example from W3 school. We have these many methods and properties associated with the keyboard. Okay. This is an example for on key press. I have input, this is an input text control, okay, for entering the text. Okay, and on key press, okay, when you press any key, okay, you will be calling the function, that is my function, and you will be displaying the message you press the key inside input field. Now see, I will execute this program. Okay. Now again I press one more character. Okay. Again it will display the message, and then it will display what character I have pressed. Okay. Similarly, one more. Okay. Every key press, okay, when you press for keyboard event. Okay. Likewise, you can practice different different events. Okay. In the textbook, you have this example. This is the input, okay, a text box which is meant for entering the text with the ID key example. Now look at this JavaScript code. Okay. So document get element by ID, the one which is having the ID, that is this one. Okay. Dot key down. Okay. On key down, you are calling the function. Okay, this is a listener approach or listener technique of executing uh, the events. Okay, you are calling the function. That is, the function name is my function. Okay, so this is a listener approach. Okay, one of the approach we use for calling the functions. Uh, on key down, you are calling the function and you are passing the event object. Okay. Now here, e dot key code, what it will give. Imagine that I am clicking on a character A. Okay. So when I make the key down, okay, when I press a key, it will execute this function and it will e dot key code. That means it will get the raw key code. What is the ASCII code of this? Okay, 65. Okay, ASCII code of this. What is the character associated with the code 65? So what is that? That is your capital letter A. So that capital letter A will be stored in the variable character. Is placed in the alert box. Okay. So you can try to execute this. Okay. You can simply create a HTML document with this simple input box. Okay, and using the JavaScript write this code. Okay, and try to execute this. Okay. So we have studied about forms in the previous module. Okay, and what are the different widgets or controls that we have in forms? We have radio button, checkbox, so different types of buttons. Then we have drop down box, select, and for entering different text areas we have. So what are the events associated with this form? Okay. So when you are having a form in an HTML document, what are the different events you can call? So we have different events like on blur, on change, on focus. These are different events. Okay. So most sometimes we use this on submit. Okay. Even this is more often used event. So on blur, a form element has lost focus. Okay, I'll explain this with example. Okay, not all, but few. I'll show you the example. So in exam also, you can give the example. Sometimes they may ask you for 10 marks. Give the example for any 5 form events. Okay, or they may ask you in general, give form any events and explain with the example. So let's look into this on focus and on reset. So this is an example for on focus, okay, associated with form. You can see here we have not written here form and then form tag and all. Okay, you can write in the exam or simply you can write this because the HTML it will understand that this is a control which is associated with form. Okay. So type is equal to text. On focus we are calling this function. Focus is nothing but when the field input field get focused. Okay, that means when you keep the cursor over this. Okay. When you keep the cursor on this, it will get the focus. Okay. At that time, the function will be called. Okay. When you make a cursor to place on this, okay, when you click on this input, it will call this function. What is the function? The function will x dot style dot background. What is that x? X is nothing but it is this. This is nothing but it is uh, this text box. Okay, we can also make use of id. Okay, okay, you can go for document dot get element by id, you can get it, or you can use even this keyword. Okay, so this particular text box, okay, you are changing the background color to yellow. Okay, shall run once again. Okay, initially it will be blank. When I press this, it will get focused and it will execute this function and it will change the background color to yellow. So that is on focus. Similarly, you can try for reset. Yeah.
Ma'am,
So here,
Ma'am, screen is not visible, ma'am.
not visible.
No, ma'am.
Even now it is not visible. No?
No.
How about now? Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am, visible now.
I think till here it is clear, right? Keyboard event. So we were discussing about form events. Okay. So this was an example I had given you. Form events. So here, okay, this is form event. So when I make the cursor to focus on this, it will call this function and it will display the background color yellow of this text box. Okay. Similarly, this is for reset. Okay. This is on reset. So HTML form has ability to be reset. Reset means you can clear all the content that you have entered into the form. Okay, so this event is triggered when that happens. That means when you click on the reset button. Okay, so here we have on reset event. Okay, reset event. It will call the function my function. Okay, on reset it will call and it will display the error alert box and it will display the message the form was reset. Okay. Now see here, I will enter some data, random data. I click on this reset. At that time, when I click on this reset, it will call this function and this function will display an alert box with the message the form was reset. Okay. So see here, whenever you click on reset, this will be called. Okay. Similarly, you can practice other examples. Okay. So this is one more on load. When you load the page, okay, when you load the page, it will display the page is loaded. Initially, when you load the page, okay, it will display the message. The page is loaded. Okay. So on load. So this is about on load, and this is for on resize. When you resize, it will display here. I'm trying to resize. So you have changed the size of the browser windows here. Here I have resized. Okay. See here it was there. Okay. When I resize, it will display the message you have changed the size of the browser window. So you can try all these examples. So the next one is a frame event. Okay. So frame concept was there in XHTML. Okay. It is not there in HTML5. Okay. Frame. So see here, frames are something like this. Frame in HTML. So frame tag used in HTML4 to define one particular window frame within the frame set. I will not explain in detail. I will show you the example. It will be clear. See here. So it is used for defining the frame. Okay, how much frame? Actually, you can use the entire window. Okay, But here we are setting the frame. I want to use only this much. Okay. So here we are setting the frame. Okay. So you can use a frame set. Actually, when you have an window, okay, what we can do is we can divide our window. Okay, so we can tell that I want to use. Okay, I want to divide the window into three parts. You can see here we are dividing into three parts, and you can display three different. Uh, yeah, you can use the different mm, frames for defining for displaying different contents. Okay, so here. So this assume that this is our browser window. Okay. Using this frame concept, what we can do here is we can set the frame. Okay, I want to display from here to here, okay, some content. From here to here, okay, I want to display some image. Okay, and from here to here, I want to display something else. Okay. You can divide your entire window into three frames using this frame concept. So frame, so this frame is associated with some events. Okay, so frame events are events related to the browser frame that contains your web page. Okay, you can see here, there are three frames here. The most important event in page in frame is onload event. Okay, so when you load this particular frame, what should happen? Or this particular frame, what should happen? Which tells us an object is loaded and therefore ready to work with. If the code attempts to set up a listener on this not yet loaded view, then the error will be triggered. Okay, so you can see here this particular frame can call this onload and it can execute some function. Okay, similarly for this you can have onload. Okay, and you can run different functions. Okay, so don't worry much about this. Okay. So event, okay, what are the events we can have? So apart from onload, we can have on error, on abort, on resize, okay, on unload. So frame concept nowadays nobody uses, okay, because it's an outdated one. In HTML5 we don't have frames. So moving on to the next one, forms. So don't worry much about this frame, okay, because frame concept is now nobody uses. It is not supported in HTML5 and most of the browsers don't support frames. Okay. So in HTML5 and all, you have multiple column layout options and all. So you need not go for frames of dividing your browser into multiple columns using frames. You can use your bootstrap concepts or CSS preprocessor concept and all for getting multiple columns. Okay. So this is only just you just make a list and write this. Okay, if they ask in exam. So far they have not asked about frames. So forms. The next one is forms. So here there's a simple form you can see here. An action. Okay, when you click on the submit button, it will be calling this PHP program login.php, and the method we have used two methods. There are, what are the two types of methods? So there are two types of methods under form. One is get method, another one is a post method. Okay. So here we are using post method, which is a secured method of transferring the data from the browser to the server. Okay. And here we have two controls, one for entering the text, that is your username, another one is for password, and there is a button, that is submit button. Okay. So this forms, okay, validating the forms. Writing code to pre-validate forms on the client side will reduce the number of incorrect submissions, thereby reducing server load. So whenever a form is given, okay, so it should be validated. For example, there is a form for entering the phone number. Okay, there is a form and one field is phone number. Now, when the user enters, okay, user enters the phone number, the data should be validated by the client. By the client side is nothing but by the browser. Okay. Before that data is sent to the server. Before you are sending this phone number to the server, okay, this data should be validated. Validated means you are checking whether he has entered the proper data. In this, with respect to this, we are checking whether the user has entered the valid 10-digit phone number or not. Okay, if it's a mobile number, you have to check whether it is having 10 digits, whether he has only entered number or whether he has entered any alphabets. Okay, for example, if he is entering some alphabets ABC, okay, at that time you should give a pop-up message telling that please enter valid phone number. Similarly, when you are entering email address, okay, so you are entering the email address but you don't have a symbol at the rate. So at the rate symbol, if it is not there, then you have to tell the user that it is not a valid email address. Right? Every email address will be having this at the rate symbol. If that particular symbol is not there, then you can tell that it is not a valid email address. Okay, so every form content should be validated by the client, that is by the browser, which can be done by using the JavaScript. Okay, client-side validation. This is one of the important concepts of JavaScript is validating the form content before it is sent to the server. Okay. One of the important thing about the JavaScript is validating the form. Okay. There are a number of common validation activities, including you can validate email address, validating number, validating the data. Okay. So whenever you enter any data, okay, within a form, okay, maybe you are registering to a, you're registering to some account, okay, at that time also you can see a pop-up message will be given if you are entering the wrong data. Okay, see, this is an example. Okay, this is our form with the two fields. One is meant for entering the username, another one is for password. Okay, this is username and this is a password. And similarly, you have a button. Okay. Now this is our validation code for this particular form. Okay, this is our validation code. Form dot get element by ID, which is having the ID login form, which is that is our form is having, okay, login form ID on submit. Okay, when you click on the submit button, we are calling this event on submit, and that will be calling the function. Okay, you can see here we are not given any function name. Okay, simply we have used the function keyword. Okay, and you are passing the event and event object. Okay. Document dot get element by ID username dot value, which is the one which is having username, that is the first box. Okay, the first control is having the ID username. So assume that I have entered Divya here. Okay, username as Divya. Okay, and password as, okay, it is not visible actually, but I just write it VCT. Okay, now username dot value. Okay, value means whatever the content that you have entered here. Okay, that is Divya. Okay, that is the content you have entered, which will be stored in the variable field value. Okay, now you are checking. Okay, the client is checking. Okay, that the JavaScript code is checking whether it is equal to null. Okay, whether it is empty. Okay, or you can also check it using this. Okay, similar to your C programming or C++ code. Okay, you're checking whether it is equal to null or whether it is empty. Okay, if it is empty, then display some message. Okay, you can display some message. The field, you can, the pop-up and alert box can tell that you have not entered the username. Okay, next one is prevent default. So that is used for preventing the submit. Okay, so prevent default, we have already studied about this. Prevent default is used for preventing an event. So our event is what? This is our event, submit event. Okay, so this is our event. Now what we are doing? We are preventing the submit event. That means we are stopping the browser by sending this data to the server. We are not allowing to submit the data to the server. So we are preventing this submit event. Okay, and then we can display the message, you must enter a username. Okay, suppose if it is empty, then display this message, you must enter a username. Okay, so you can practice this. Okay, you can write, you can create a form. Okay, you can use XAMPP. Okay, create a PHP page with extension dot PHP page login dot PHP. Okay, and create a simple HTML form. This is a form you can create, and you can use your internal JavaScript. Okay, and add this code. Okay, then see what will happen when you execute this code. So this is one more, okay, which is used for validating the checkbox, and it is used to check whether this checkbox is ticked or not. Okay, whether you have ticked the checkbox or not. Okay, so use code. Okay, this is a code is used for checking. Okay, assume that this is here. We have something like a subject names. Okay, subjects. Okay, this is subject 1 and subject 2. Okay, likewise, assume that you have 6 more subject checkbox. Okay, now you have to check whether you have ticked the checkbox or not. How will you check that? The document dot get element by ID. Okay, so this ID, checkbox ID, okay, is licensed. Okay, so if you remember, the radio button and the checkbox will be having the same name. So all these checkbox should have the same ID. Okay, and same name. So the ID of this checkbox is, let us assume that it is license. So you are pointing to the checkbox which is having the ID license. Okay, which will be pointed by the variable. So that this variable will be having information about this checkbox which is having the ID license. Now input field dot type, we are checking whether the type of this checkbox is checkbox. Okay, whether the type, input type is equal to checkbox. So you can give different types, right? You can have type is equal to radio, type is equal to checkbox, type is equal to text. Now you are checking whether the type is equal to checkbox. Okay, if it is checkboxed, then you are checking whether the input field is checked. Okay, whether this particular field is checked. Okay, if it is checked, then it will return true. If it is not checked, then it will return. So if it is checked, it will return true. Okay, if not checked, it will return false. Okay, so let's look into an example. So this is one more. So this is one more which is used for checking is numeric. Okay, so is numeric, it's a built-in function It is used to check whether the value that you have entered is number. Okay. Then is numeric, then parts float, okay, and is infinite. We are checking two things. Okay, we are converting it into float. Okay, suppose if you have entered it a number, okay, we are converting it into float, and we are checking whether it is infinite number. Okay, whether you have entered the infinite number. This is a sample form. You can see here. These are some validating message it is displaying. Okay, here these are all validating messages telling that here must be a valid number between 600 to 2014. Here this is one more. It is telling you are supposed to enter the height. You can see here you are not entering the height, you are entering some dummy values. The painting height must be a valid number larger than 0. Okay, you can see validating how the form is getting validated. So these are all validation is done using JavaScript. Okay, so this is one important concept. Okay, how the JavaScript does the validation. So this is for form validation. So you can point to this form using document.getElement by login form, and you can call the submit. Okay, you can submit this form data to the server. Submitting a form using JavaScript requires having a node variable for the form element. Once the variable says form example, that is this one, is acquired. So you are acquiring all the data, okay, all the data that you have entered to this form, okay, and it will be acquired, okay, which will be accumulated in this variable. One can simply call the submit button. So simply you can call the submit button. So the submit button will submit the data whatever you have entered to the server. So let us look into an example, form validation. So this is example for form validation. You can see here we have the name of the my form, name of the form as my form, and this is page which you want to call after you submit the data. And on submit, you are calling this function, that is valid form. So this is one way of calling the function. Okay. So here this is a post method, and you have one field. This is a one field and one submit button. Okay. Now on submit, you are calling this validated form. So what it will do, document.form my form. So my form is this name of the form. F name, what is F name? That is this dot value. So whatever the value that you enter to this form, okay, field which is having the name, F name will be stored in the variable X. Okay. And next we are checking, okay, let us assume that you are entering Divya here. Okay. So that Divya will be stored in variable X. Okay. Next we are checking whether X is equal to empty. Okay. Whether it is empty. So if it is empty, then name must be filled out. If you are displaying the alert message. Okay. Now you see when I enter this, it will submit the data to the server. Okay. Now suppose if I don't submit anything, okay, I just call submit button, you can see it will display the message. Name must be filled out. Okay. So this is a simple example showing how the form is getting validated. You are fetching the value. How you are fetching the value? There are different ways, okay, to fetch the value. Okay. So this is using document.forms. In the previous example, we saw document.getElement by ID, then specify the ID, then you specified the value. Okay, so there are different ways of fetching the value from the form. So likewise, you can practice different examples. Okay, you have different examples here. Numeric input. Okay, so it is checking whether the number you have entered is between 1 to 10. Okay, so little bit You see here, we are calling my function, and in my function it is checking whether the value that you have entered is between 1 to 10. If it is not, then display this message not valid. If everything is okay, display the okay message and display the number here. Where to display? Here in the paragraph which is having the ID demo, their inner HTML. Okay, see here. I will enter the number 3. Click on the submit. It will display the message input OK. So what you are displaying? This is text. Okay, whatever the text is there, okay, that will be displayed here. I assume that I will enter 30, okay, which is greater than 10. Here, input not valid. Okay, so this is also one more example for validating. Okay, so you can use regular expression concept. You have studied about regular expression, right? So that regular expression can also be used for, here you can write, okay, regular expression for checking the email ID. Okay, how the email ID should be. It should contain between A to Z numbers or 0 to 9. You have studied about regular expression, right? That regular expression you have to write. So that also can be used for validating the form. So that is all about JavaScript. Okay. So next class we'll study about PHP. Starting PHP in the next class.